Bismillah. Alright, good day guys. Welcome back to Kana channel. Konnichiwa minasan. Kana channel this. So this is a continuation from the previous video of the MSI Ventus 1660 Super. But before that, before we come to the results of the trial phase testing, so on and so forth, I got another package, two packages actually, that I want to share about. But first is the laser thermometer. So what this is basically a thermometer using laser to estimate the thermal. Right, so for example, if I want to test or check a GPU, the temperature of the GPU. Oh, by the way, it detects or estimates the surface of the laser, so it's an estimate only, right? So for example, let's test it out. My 1060, let's point the laser to the chip at the back of the 1060 and get an estimate of the temperature, 41.5. So basically this is useful to find out which GPU of the same brand. For example, we have here 123 P106. So for example, we want to check which GPU has the temperature that we need. Or in other words, for example, one of the P106 is having a thermal issue, or the thermal is so high, so we want to check on the fly, whereas the rig is still mining, and we want to check which GPU has the thermal issues or having issues with the thermal too high, for example. So we just point it up, (46.1), 42.7, 46.1. So you can see, let's say 62. Okay, for example, number 2 and number 7 is most probably this two, because it has high temperature and almost the same temperature, whereas P16 62 Celsius, P16 62 Celsius. So most probably number 2 and number 8 is either 2. But then again, it's just an estimate, it could be wrong. For example, this GPU, I just clean it up and change the thermal paste, so the correct one will be 56 for this one. 56 Celsius, 57 Celsius, not a 62, which is this one. This one is 57 Celsius, the lowest thermal GPU in this rig. So this is just an estimate. I usually like to check the temperature at the heatsink 42, 39, 41. So this is just an estimate. Um, it doesn't, how should we say, it doesn't represent the accurate number, or which one, depends on which one uh, you're supposed to make a choice, if you understand what I mean. So that one is the laser thermometer. Okay. Oh, by the way, it runs on dual AAA battery. So AAA battery 2. So that one is the laser thermometer. It could be useful, but then again, it's just an estimate to find which one. But basically, in the end, you have to find the accurate GPU that you want to replace, or so on and so forth, etc., etc. Okay, so that one is the laser thermometer. Now we're coming to switch. So this is a 24 port gigabit switch from D-Link. As I am running out of port switch, if you can see, let's take a closer look. So as you can see, my router, modem, Wi-Fi, um, whichever words you want to use it, Wi-Fi, modem, or router. Okay, but because basically this is train one, Wi-Fi, router, and modem. But back to the story. Okay, so as you can see, my 4 LAN port is full, and the N here is the 1 port, as I'm currently supplying internet from another router. Okay, so I have 4 ports of LAN ports. I have 4 ports of LAN. Is that a word? In any case, my LAN port is full. So if I want to extend in the future, I have to, how should we say, speed it up again. Um, so that's the reason I'm going with D-Link. The reason I'm going with 24 port of switch. You might thinking 24 is too much, but for me, the way I'm calculating for the future, the 16, the 12 port is barely enough for the future. I'm thinking of expanding. Okay, so basically 12 port is just barely enough. So I was thinking it's better to have a little bit more than not enough for the future, of course. So I'm getting the 24 port. 24 port. So basically that is how it looks like. The brand, the model is DGS 10248. That is the brand. So the reason I took this, the reason I chose this is 24 port, basically 24 port. G-Link, basically G-Link has, should we say, standard quality, sufficient quality products. That's the word, I think. And here, if you can see, features 24 ports of 10, 100, 1000 megabytes or 1 gigabyte. Another reason I chose this is for the 1 gig speed for the ports, up to 1 gigabyte of dedicated bandwidth per port, and up to 2 gigabyte bandwidth in full duplex mode. So the 1 gigabyte is the another reason that I chose this switch, compatible with all popular OS. Obviously we need that. Support MAC address learning, obviously we need that. Dealing green features, compliance with IEEE, obviously we need that. Automatically powers down ports that have no links, this is a plus, and another reason that I chose this switch. Any port that is not in use, it's automatically powers down the port, so that way we can conserve electricity. Okay, budget power output for different cable lengths, this is a plus. So let's say you have a 2-meter Ethernet cable, so it supplies sufficient for the 3 meters. But let's say you have a 50-meter cable, so it will supply the sufficient power for the 50-meter cable. So it automatically supply the sufficient amount for the cables. Okay, so there's a plus. RoHS compliant. Well, obviously we need that. Okay, so dealing green. Previous switches, 24 port switches that I researched before, dealing does have 24 port, but a few features that is not available. For example, 24 port dealing, 24 port, but it doesn't have the 1 gig bandwidth. The, how should we say, the maximum is around 100 megabytes per second. Previous generation, I'm guessing previous generation of the switch, obviously the switch for 100 megabyte per second speed is lower in price. Okay, lower in price, but it doesn't have the 1 gigabyte transfer speed. Okay, so for example, in the future I might need to transfer from my laptop to my first rig, which is on Windows. This rig is capable of 1 gigabyte Ethernet or LAN speed. So basically, for example, in the future I want to send data from my laptop to the first rig, which is on Windows. I might transfer a big size of file. So with that gigabyte speed, it, how should we say, lessen the time for transfer, so I can do my work even faster. That's the idea. Okay, so basically a few features that I was looking when I chose when I was choosing which switch to get. So dealing for the sufficient quality in products, 24 ports, and gigabyte speed, and also the conservative port power. Is that the word? Is that the name? Well, basically that's it. So there's the two products that I want to share that I chose for my future. How should we say? That I chose for my rigs. Okay, for my rig setups. So that's for your side, and let's go into the real reason for the video, which is the 1660 Super. Okay, so the 1660 Super is inside, is running. Okay, right. So let's see how it does. Okay, so basically, as you know that I put in the gigabyte inside the second rig, also gigabyte Super. It has the Hynix memory. So for the MSI that I just showed you, it has Samsung memory. This is the first GPU for the Super that I bought that has Samsung memory. Okay, so as you can see, it squeezed 32.05 megahash at around 64 watts. I think you can see it. Okay, 64 watts. So in the system in hiveos MSI Super, 32.05 at 64 watts. Okay, and the thermal is 58 Celsius. One thing that I like about MSI brands is the temperature runs pretty low, which is a good thing. Okay, which is a good thing. I like the temperature low. There's no point in having a GPU with the temperature far too high. It might overheat. Those kind of things. It's better to set your GPU miner, okay, the miner, to stop mining at 70 Celsius. Any more than that is not good for a GPU. Okay, for the longevity or lifespan of the GPU. So I set the miner to stop any GPU that reaches 70 Celsius. Let it cools down. When it reaches 60 Celsius, then the miner use the GPU again for mining. Okay, so that's a side note. Okay, for example, gigabyte. Okay, 64 Celsius, quite high. Okay, compared to any MSI GPUs 1660 models that I have, TIs or Supers, any of the MSI models, excluding obviously excluding the 1060 or P106. Okay, so back to the story that I was going to tell. The MSI Super, the Ventus edition, has Samsung memory. So as you can see, they reach around 32.02, 32 plus. Okay, 32 megahash, quite good. Ethereum, of course. Okay, Ethereum, of course. Okay, so for the settings, if anyone is interested in the settings, okay, Super, MSI, Samsung memory. Okay, the settings is okay, 1050 for the core. Memory is 2000. PL is 78. But obviously for absolute core clock, the hiveos operating system dictates the electricity on its own. Okay, so even though you set it at 78, it uses only 64 watts. Okay, absolute core clock is 1050, memory is 2000. Okay, and the mega hash is 32 plus. Okay, temperature is 57, fan is 66 minimum. I set it to the minimum of 66, right? And the wattage it consumes is 64. Okay, but if you can see here, the efficiency of the MSI Super Samsung memory is 501 kilohash per watt. So this is based on my based on my database that I collect, information that I collect. This efficiency is quite good, actually very good. Well, not as good as the 3060 Ti, but actually, according to information that I collect amongst GPUs, okay, this efficiency is just below 3060 Ti's. Quite good. Okay, it is quite good. Obviously, the speed is different. Okay, the wattage is different. But the efficiency is quite good, just below 3060 Ti efficiency. So, right. I'm using T-Rex 20.4. If anyone hasn't changed their T-Rex miner to the latest, I recommend change it to the latest. There's a few updates in the latest T-Rex miner, so recommend that you use the latest T-Rex. Obviously, you have to update your hiveos reflecting the new T-Rex miner. Okay. Okay. So I hope I hope you get beneficial information from this video, and see you in the next video, guys. Take care. Bye bye.